everyone. Today is your friendly neighborhood queer Christian, and today is the Friday word. So we're going to get right on into it, amen, because we know what happened yesterday. The first time in history a U.S. sitting president was convicted of 34 felonies. Amen. It just gets better and better, amen. So with that, I want to start with Matthew 23, 1 through 3 in the Message Bible. Now Jesus turned to address his disciples along with the crowd that had gathered with them. The religious scholars and Pharisees are competent teachers in God's law. You won't go wrong in following the teachings of Moses, but be careful about following them. And that's italicized. They talk a good line, but they don't live it. They don't take it into their hearts and live it out in their behavior. It's all spit and polished veneer. Instead of giving you God's law as food and drink by which you can banquet on God, they package it in bundles of rules, loading you down like pack animals. They seem to take pleasure in watching you stagger under these loads and wouldn't think of lifting a finger to help. Their lives are perpetual fashion shows, embroidered prayer shawls, and one day, and flower prayers are the next. They love to sit at the head of church dinners, basking in the most prominent positions, preening in the radiance of public flattery. Now, the reason I wanted to start off with that is because when we think about yesterday and what happened, and this is a huge moment in history, right? And there was many people who tried to bring this gentleman to task, right? Many people. He has been impeached twice, on and on and on and on. But who would have thought that justice would come from a woman named Stormy Daniels? Amen. Now, it doesn't take away the lawyers. It doesn't take away Alvin Bragg. It doesn't take away the testimony of Michael Cohen. But the core of this trial was hush money connected to Stormy Daniels because of sexual liaisons they'd had one night, and him trying to keep it quiet because he was married at the time and had just had a newborn child. Amen. And the Hollywood Access tape had come out. And so he had to clean up his image. Amen. Now, connected to that, the 34 counts is not just connected to that, right? It's him using the National Enquirer to falsify information about other candidates, keeping certain information out. Again, I cannot believe the National Enquirer was actually a source of information for anyone, but amen. Right? So there's other things, but the core of it, the reason that this trial even came to light is because of his relationship with Stormy Daniels, and helped by the fact that Stormy Daniels actually spoke out even after receiving the NDA, amen, and receiving the hush money, right? And one of the reasons she said, whether you know how you feel or don't feel about it, but one of the reasons she said is she was trying to protect her family. She was worried about her family. That's why she took the money. But then eventually she wanted to speak out because she is not a fan of him. And even though she considers herself a Republican, she was not a fan of Donald J. Trump. Amen. Now, why I'm talking about this, bringing this in light, is I think about Rahab. And I was talking to a very good friend of mine, like family, Sophia, and I brought us like Rahab, and she was like, you know, that's appropriate. And I thought about it more, and I really researched it more, and it really did seem to strongly come together. Now, again, I'm not calling Stormy Daniels a woman of faith. I don't know what her faith is. I'm not saying she had any that was even an inclination. But what the more important thing is that right now, we're in a situation where we're seeing things happen in our country left and right. And particularly connected to this person, many things that have happened. And so many people try to make him take task. And to think that this woman, a former porn star, and now currently a director in the industry, who is rooted in her identification as a sex worker, was part of creating this change. Not by lying, not by creating any big stories, by just being who she was. Amen. And using that in terms of the seeking of justice. Amen. And we think about Rahab, right? When Rahab took those two soldiers in, it wasn't that she was looking to change the whole course of history, right? She believed in what she had seen. She had seen the promises of God. She'd seen the miracles, even though she was not a Christian. All right. So again, like Stormy Daniels is not a Democrat. She's a Republican, right? And Rahab was not a Christian. She was a pagan, and she was a Canaanite. Amen. Her faith switched, but what she saw impressed her enough to know what is happening right now in my country is not right, and this needs to change. And so she took these two soldiers in at the risk, particularly because she was a sex worker. She was at risk for her own life, but because she cared about her family, wanted to see her family protected, and believed in what was happening, believed in what the promises of what she had seen, she said, I will take you in, but I ask that you please protect my family, that you protect us. But she put her family first. And Stormy Daniels, whose real name is Stephanie Gregory, I believe, had said that one of the reasons she at first took the money is because she was worried about her family, because she had felt threatened. But then something else became greater than that. Amen. And again, this is not a Stormy Daniels fan video. What this is about is that you never know who are going to be the people. And most importantly, is that so many times we use the people like the Stormy Daniels of the world, whether, the people that we consider not in the quote unquote respectable positions are usually the people who change the course of history. George Floyd, before he was murdered, okay, was a petty criminal. He'd had many arrests. He worked to change his life. Amen. But by his act, by his body changed the course of history because of what happened to him. Okay. And so I think about that. We just never know that the people who will sit there and postulate about how amazing they are, right? Because no matter what we say, all those people in Congress could not do what that woman's voice and honesty could do. And like Rahab, she has now helped to sort of change the course. Now, this doesn't mean he can't run. He can run. But this is nothing slight. This is huge. He knows it's huge. Everyone knows it's huge. And so there is something to be said about who we consider people of value and who we consider people not of value. People who are respectable and people not respectable. Because I will say her sitting there on that, in that jury, telling the truth, no matter how it looked to others, standing her ground, did something. It wasn't the only thing, but it was a factor. And like Rahab, because Rahab wasn't the only reason that change happened, but she was definitely a factor in it. And because of that, she then went on to be part of the lineage of Jesus. She's part of the lineage of Jesus Christ. And Rahab is also the mother of Boaz. And Boaz was the man who saw Naomi, right, a widower who had forsaken, who left her home to follow Ruth, to be by her side. And he saw her. And while she could have been at risk, he had a kindness and a softness to her. And I would imagine part of that came from having a mother who also had been seen as an outsider. And because of what she did, helped to change not just the course of those two soldiers, not just in terms of a victory for the Israelites, but also created a man like Boaz who was able to change other lives. You just never know who is going to be that person. You never know where your blessings are going to come from. So let's not get lost in religiosity, right? Let's be like Jesus. You don't know who that person will be and judge others as you would have them judge you. Okay, everyone, I hope this blessed someone. Okay, there will be no prayer chat tomorrow, but I hope you have a beautiful week. Bye.